Many ancient civilizations have spoken of powerful beings who descended from the skies. They were called gods, celestial teachers, or divine architects. But all of them shaped the destiny of humanity before vanishing into the unknown. And across cultures, prophecies foretell their return, suggesting that their departure was never permanent. Could these stories be more than myth? From the Anunnaki of Mesopotamia to the Neteru of Egypt, the Devas of India, and the sky gods of the Americas, similar legends persist of celestial beings who arrived, imparted knowledge, and mysteriously disappeared. Ancient texts, such as Sumerian cuneiform tablets, the Enuma Elish, the Mahabharata, and the Popol Vuh, describe gods who walked among men, ruled kingdoms, and even altered the course of human history. Could these accounts be more than legend? In this documentary, we will explore the myths, the evidence, and the growing theories surrounding the possible return of these beings. We will analyze the historical texts that describe their past interventions and the modern-day encounters that may be linked to them. For thousands of years, the myths of Mesopotamia have spoken of celestial beings who shaped the world, and according to some interpretations, humanity itself. Among them are the Anunnaki. According to Sumerian and Akkadian texts, these celestial beings played a pivotal role in shaping humanity itself. Some believe the Anunnaki were not just deities, but actual beings, possibly even otherworldly visitors whose influence is still felt today. The earliest references to the Anunnaki describe them as the supreme gods. Among them were An, or Anu, the supreme god of the sky, and Ki, the goddess of the earth. Their dominion was vast, stretching from the heavens to the underworld. In later Akkadian and Babylonian traditions, their ranks included the most powerful gods, Enlil, Enki, Ninhursag, and Inanna. They were the divine figures that controlled fate and dictated the laws of existence. Enlil was the god of air and storms, and Enki was the god of wisdom and water. They held significant roles in shaping the destiny of both gods and men. But the Anunnaki were not alone. Another group of deities, known as the Igigi, existed beneath them in the celestial hierarchy. The Igigi were, by all accounts, a working class of divine beings, responsible for carrying out laborious tasks on behalf of their superior counterparts. They toiled in the fields of the gods, dug canals, and ensured the functioning of divine operations. However, this division of power and labor did not remain stable forever. According to the Atrahasis poem, the Igigi eventually grew weary of their relentless work. Faced with unbearable conditions, they rebelled against the Anunnaki, demanding relief from their burdens. It was in response to this uprising that the great gods devised a radical solution, one that would alter the course of history forever. Rather than continue relying on the Igigi for labor, the Anunnaki created a new species, human beings. Designed to bear the burden of toil, humanity was molded from a combination of divine essence and earthly material. The first humans were not made to rule, nor were they granted autonomy. They were created to serve. This myth, which dates back to the 2nd millennium BC, is one of the earliest recorded narratives of humans as workers for a higher power. It suggests that mankind was not created out of divine benevolence, but out of necessity. Ancient Mesopotamian texts, such as the Atrahasis poem and the Enuma Elish, further provide detailed accounts of the creation of humankind. In the Atrahasis myth, after the rebellion of the Igigi, the gods face a crisis. To resolve this, the god Enki devised a method to create a new being. He instructed the mother goddess, Ninhursag, to mix clay with the blood of a sacrifice god. And from this mixture, humans were shaped. This origin story, which describes a form of genetic mixing, has led some theorists to speculate that it may contain remnants of an ancient understanding of biological engineering. Similarly, in the Enuma Elish, a Babylonian creation myth, humanity is described as a deliberate creation of the gods. After the god Marduk defeats the primordial goddess Tiamat, he constructs the world from her remains, but recognizes the need for a species to serve the divine. To achieve this, Marduk orders the creation of humans from the blood of the defeated god, Kingu, mixed with clay. A fundamental theme in Mesopotamian mythology is the ideological conflict between Enki and Enlil. Enki, often portrayed as a benevolent figure, was the god of wisdom, knowledge and progress. He was the protector of humanity, frequently acting in their best interest, sometimes even defying the will of the higher gods to aid them. Enlil, by contrast, was a strict and authoritative ruler who believed in control and obedience. He sought to keep humanity in check, limiting their access to knowledge and power. This tension between Enki and Enlil is reminiscent of later myths, particularly the biblical story of the Garden of Eden. In Genesis, Adam and Eve are warned not to eat from the tree of knowledge. However, they are tempted by the serpent, a figure some have associated with Enki, to seek wisdom. This act of defiance leads to their exile from paradise, a punishment enforced by a god who seeks to maintain order. The tension between knowledge and control is a recurring theme in many mythologies. In Mesopotamian accounts, it is Enki who repeatedly defies the will of the ruling gods to aid humanity, whether by granting forbidden wisdom or warning Atrahasis of the impending flood. This suggests an ancient contemplation on the nature of power. Should knowledge be freely given, or is it too dangerous for mortals to wield? One of the greatest mysteries surrounding the Anunnaki is their disappearance from historical records. Mesopotamian myths describe a time when these divine beings walked among humans, ruling as kings and guiding civilization. Yet at some point, they seemingly vanished. Some ancient texts suggest that after the Great Flood, kingship was handed down to mortals, signaling the withdrawal of the gods from direct governance. Yet some believe that the Anunnaki never truly left. They say that the Anunnaki chose to remain hidden, continuing to exert influence in ways beyond human perception. While Mesopotamian texts describe the Anunnaki as celestial beings of divine status, some modern interpretations have offered a radically different perspective. One of the most controversial comes from the work of Zecharia Sitchin. He is a researcher who, in the late 20th century, introduced a theory that places the Anunnaki not in the realm of deities, but in the realm of extraterrestrials. In his book, The 12th Planet, Zecharia Sitchin proposed that the Anunnaki were not gods in the traditional sense, but extraterrestrial visitors from a distant planet known as Neteru. According to his hypothesis, Neteru follows an elongated orbit around the Sun, returning to the inner solar system every 3,600 years. During one of these cycles, the Anunnaki are said to have arrived on Earth in search of a valuable resource, gold. Sitchin further suggests that gold was essential for the survival of their home planet, possibly as a means to repair or sustain its atmosphere. Facing a dwindling supply of the precious metal, the Anunnaki allegedly established mining operations on Earth. However, when the labor became too demanding, they engineered a solution: the genetic modification of early hominids to create a new species, Homo sapiens. According to Sitchin, this act of creation was not a singular event, but a process of deliberate genetic engineering. The Anunnaki, possessing advanced knowledge of biology, are said to have combined their own DNA with that of existing hominid species, selectively enhancing cognitive and physical traits. This, he claims, was done through artificial means, perhaps through direct genetic manipulation or advanced reproductive techniques beyond the scope of human understanding at the time. The result was a species intelligent enough to follow commands, strong enough to endure physical labor, and adaptable enough to thrive in different environments. Early humans, according to this theory, were first created as a controlled workforce, possibly in isolated colonies where they could be closely monitored. Over time, however, these beings are said to have developed their own consciousness and autonomy, leading to events that would later be recorded in myths about humanity's defiance of the gods. The ancient Egyptians also believed that their gods, known as the Neteru, ruled over the world and shaped human destiny. Unlike the later monotheistic traditions, where divinity remained unseen, the Egyptians portrayed their gods as physical beings. Egyptian texts describe them as powerful, authoritative rulers who established order, built civilization, and even interbred with humans. These deities have long been considered mythological figures, yet some theories suggest they may have once existed in a tangible form. Some interpretations propose they were advanced human rulers who were later deified. Others speculate they could have been something entirely different. The Neteru of ancient Egypt were not simply distant, ethereal beings. In Egyptian religious thought, the gods were depicted as humanoid figures, often with animalistic traits. They had falcon heads, jackal features, or elongated skulls. Some were depicted sailing the celestial river, others descending from the stars, and many were described as rulers who physically reigned over Egypt before the time of mortal kings. The pyramid texts and other sacred inscriptions recount a distant age when the Neteru lived alongside humanity, governing the world before eventually withdrawing to the heavens. Egyptian texts speak of a divine order, a civilization forged in an era known as Zep Tepi, or the first time. This was a mythical golden age when the gods walked the earth and established the foundation of Egyptian society. The first ruler of this age was Atum-Ra. He was the supreme creator god. He was followed by a line of divine kings who shaped the world before handing power over to mortals. Some researchers suggest that these divine rulers may have been extraterrestrial beings, advanced entities, who imparted their knowledge to early humans before retreating into legend. Adding to the mystery are the physical depictions of the Neteru. Temple carvings and statues often portray them with elongated skulls, towering statures, and other exaggerated features. While traditionally interpreted as symbolic representations of divine attributes, some researchers suggest these artistic choices may depict something more literal. They think that these images reflect the physical traits of real beings. Also, the notion that Egyptian rulers were not mere mortals but descended from divine beings was central to the ideology of kingship. Unlike in Mesopotamia, where kings ruled on behalf of the gods, Egyptian pharaohs were seen as literal deities in human form. They carried the blood of the Neteru, an unbroken lineage stretching back to the first divine rulers of Zep-Tepi. This belief was not unique to Egypt. Across the ancient world, from Sumer to Mesoamerica, early civilizations claimed their rulers were born of celestial beings. The Sumerian king list, for example, describes the first kings as ruling for thousands of years before a great flood, much like the divine reigns of the Neteru before the rise of human kings in Egypt. Some alternative theorists propose that these myths of divine bloodlines may reflect an actual genetic difference between early rulers and the common people. This perspective suggests that the Neteru may have interbred with early humans, creating a hybrid lineage with a special connection to the gods. Even today, the mummies of some Egyptian pharaohs show unusual cranial structures. For example, elongated skulls that differ from the norm. Mainstream scholars argue that these features are the result of natural variation. But to those seeking alternative explanations, they may indicate something more profound. The parallels between Egyptian and Mesopotamian deities have fueled another debate. Some scholars see them as regional variations of the same divine archetypes. Others argue they represent entirely separate traditions that evolved independently. In Mesopotamian mythology, Anu was the supreme sky god, ruler of all celestial beings. In Egypt, Ra held a similar role as the solar deity and father of the divine order. Enlil, the Sumerian storm god linked to kingship, war, and destruction, shares traits with Set, the Egyptian god of storms and chaos. Enki, the wise and benevolent Mesopotamian god of knowledge, creation, and water, mirrors Thoth, the Egyptian deity of wisdom, writing, and magic. These similarities suggest a deeper connection between the two civilizations. These parallels have given rise to the theory that the Neteru and the Anunnaki may have been the same beings, worshipped under different names as their influence spread across early civilizations. Some even propose that these gods, if they were real, were advanced beings, possibly extraterrestrial, who guided human development before departing. However, the connection between the two pantheons remains speculative. While both cultures had rich theological traditions, their religious systems were not identical. Still, the similarities suggest a shared source of influence, whether cultural or mythological. Among the most enduring mysteries of ancient Egypt are the pyramids, colossal structures that defy explanation with their sheer size, precision, and engineering complexity. The Great Pyramid of Giza, with its near-perfect alignment to the cardinal points, its advanced construction techniques, and its mathematical proportions, has led some to question whether it was merely a tomb or something else. While mainstream archaeology maintains that the pyramids were funerary monuments, alternative theories propose that they were energy-generating structures, possibly linked to a lost technology. In that case, the pyramid's geometric design, combined with their use of limestone, granite, and quartz, could have allowed them to harness and amplify electromagnetic energy. Others see a deeper connection to the stars. The precise alignment of the Giza pyramids with Orion's belt has led to speculation that the structures were part of a grand celestial map, possibly guiding the souls of the dead to the afterlife. Or, as some propose, pyramids served as markers for an interstellar connection. The construction of the pyramids remains a subject of debate. Mainstream archaeology attributes their creation to tens of thousands of laborers using primitive tools over several decades. However, many argue that moving and precisely placing massive limestone blocks, each weighing over 2.5 tons, would have posed extreme logistical challenges. Some suggest that the knowledge to build these monuments may have originated from the Neteru themselves. According to this view, the Neteru possessed an advanced understanding of engineering materials and possibly even energy manipulation. The idea of celestial beings imparting knowledge to humanity is not unique to Egypt. In the Vedic tradition of ancient India, a similar narrative unfolds, detailing a cosmic struggle between two opposing factions, the Devas and the Asuras. These two groups, often described as gods and demons, represent a fundamental duality: order and chaos, light and darkness, preservation and destruction. Yet early Vedic texts suggest that their conflict was not merely symbolic, but reflected a tangible struggle for dominance over the material and spiritual realms. The Devas are often referred to as shining ones. They were seen as benevolent celestial beings governing natural forces, upholding dharma or cosmic order, and guiding humanity toward enlightenment. They were associated with wisdom, balance, and the maintenance of universal harmony. The Asuras, in contrast, were frequently depicted as powerful but rebellious entities. They challenged the authority of the Devas and sought control over the heavens and earth. Though later Hindu traditions cast them as demonic adversaries, earlier texts paint a more complex picture of rivals. Hindu cosmology presents the universe as divided into different spheres, with the Devas inhabiting higher celestial realms and the Asuras dwelling in lower planes. Earth, situated between these realms, became a battleground where these forces clashed, shaping human civilization in the process. Texts such as the Rig Veda and Mahabharata describe these conflicts as vast, epic battles fought with weapons and artifacts of immense power. Among the most compelling elements of these ancient texts is the description of Vimanas, mystical flying chariots used by both Devas and Asuras. These celestial vehicles function as transport across great distances, as war machines, and even as interdimensional crafts. The term Vimana itself, meaning traversing or having been measured out, hints at a precision beyond ordinary human craftsmanship. Accounts from texts such as the Ramayana and Mahabharata describe Vimanas in great detail. They varied in size and design. Some resembled elaborate palaces that soared through the sky, while others were compact, maneuverable, and capable of great speeds. Some Vimanas were said to move between the earthly and divine realms, further emphasizing their otherworldly origins. They were piloted by gods, sages, and warriors, suggesting that they were not mere allegorical constructs, but functional machines operated by highly advanced beings. The Vaimanika Shastra is a Sanskrit text from the early 20th century that claims to be based on ancient sources. It describes flying crafts, including their propulsion, materials, and piloting methods. Scholars debate its authenticity, but its details resemble modern aviation and space technology. It mentions quicksilver-mercury engines, anti-gravity systems, and unknown energy sources. These ideas suggest that ancient civilizations may have had advanced knowledge beyond what we understand today. Archaeological discoveries suggest advanced engineering in ancient India. The Indus Valley civilization had complex urban planning and unexplained technological achievements. Some researchers believe these could be traces of lost knowledge. However, one of the most controversial and enigmatic aspects of Vedic literature is its description of war. The Mahabharata, one of the most extensive and revered Hindu epics, recounts a great conflict that took place thousands of years ago. Within its pages are vivid descriptions of weapons of mass destruction, accounts that, to some, read like the effects of a nuclear explosion. The text describes a weapon that created a blinding explosion, brighter than 10,000 suns. It speaks of iron thunderbolts that burned entire cities to ashes. Survivors suffered from strange illnesses. Hair and nails fell out, food became poisoned, and bodies were burned beyond recognition. The land remained barren for generations. Some believe the Mahabharata records an ancient war fought with weapons of immense destruction. The ruins of Mohenjo-daro, a major city of the Indus Valley civilization, show unusual signs of destruction. Some reports describe evidence of vitrification, stone structures that appear to have melted under extreme heat, similar to a nuclear explosion. Skeletal remains found at the site have been said to contain traces of radiation. These findings have led to speculation that the city was destroyed by a powerful and sudden catastrophe. Mainstream archaeologists believe the city's decline was due to natural disasters or invasions. However, the descriptions in the Mahabharata are strikingly similar to modern nuclear warfare. This has led to speculation that an ancient war may have taken place, using technology that no longer exists. Some suggest that the Devas and Asuras were opposing factions of an advanced civilization, possibly even of non-human origin. This way, their conflict may have played a crucial role in shaping early human history. Hindu cosmology also describes a powerful trinity called the Trimurti. It consists of Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer. These deities control the cycles of creation, life, and destruction. Their roles reflect the natural forces that shape the universe. Some researchers suggest that they were not just myths, but real beings who influenced life on Earth. Shiva is known as a powerful force of destruction and renewal. He is linked to the cycles of creation and rebirth in the universe. His third eye is said to release a mighty force, destroying all in its path. Some compare this to an ancient energy weapon of immense power. His role suggests a force capable of reshaping civilizations and restarting cycles of existence. Vishnu is seen as the protector of balance. In times of great crisis, he is said to descend to earth. He takes on different forms, or avatars, to restore order. This idea of divine beings stepping in to guide humanity appears in many ancient traditions. It mirrors stories of god-kings and celestial rulers who shaped the course of human history. Brahma, the creator, is credited with engineering life itself. Some interpretations suggest this could be an allegory for genetic manipulation or the introduction of advanced knowledge that spurred the rise of early civilizations. Across cultures, gods are often said to descend from the heavens, impart wisdom, and then depart, leaving behind stories that become the foundation of religious traditions. The parallels between Hindu cosmology and Mesopotamian, Egyptian, and even Greek traditions suggest a shared memory of beings who once ruled the earth. But this idea is not limited to mythologies alone. Even the Bible contains accounts of powerful entities descending from the heavens, influencing humanity in ways that mirror these ancient narratives. Among the most controversial texts is the Book of Enoch. It presents a striking narrative about divine beings who descended to earth and altered the course of human history. This ancient text, largely forgotten for centuries, details the story of the Watchers, angels sent to observe humanity, but who ultimately rebelled against their celestial duties. Unlike traditional biblical angels, who serve as messengers and intermediaries between God and mankind, the Watchers defied their purpose, choosing instead to interact directly with the mortal world. According to the Book of Enoch, 200 of these beings descended upon Mount Hermon. This site appears in many mythologies as a place of divine or supernatural significance. Their leader, Semjaza, feared he alone would bear the consequences of their actions. To prevent this, he made the others swear an oath. This oath bound them all to their fateful decision. Their main transgression was taking human women as wives. This union led to the birth of the Nephilim. But their interference did not stop there, because the Watchers gave forbidden knowledge to humanity. They taught metalworking, astronomy, sorcery, and cosmetics. These sciences were either sacred or too dangerous for early civilizations to control. One of the most infamous Watchers, Azazel, introduced the art of weapon making. This revelation transformed human societies by advancing warfare. Others, like Baraki Jal and Kokabel, revealed the secrets of the stars and the heavens. Their knowledge contributed to an early understanding of celestial movements. Some believe this wisdom was later encoded in megalithic structures around the world. This narrative is striking not only for its dramatic elements, but also for its similarities to other ancient traditions. The idea of divine beings imparting knowledge before facing punishment appears in multiple cultures. In Greek mythology, Prometheus suffers for giving fire to humanity. In Mesopotamian lore, the Apkallu sages share wisdom before being cast down. Some interpretations of the Anunnaki also suggest a similar pattern, but the Watchers, however, were ultimately seen as corruptors rather than benefactors. Because of this, the Book of Enoch talks about a great purge that followed, reshaping the world as it was known. The Nephilim, often translated as giants, are among the most mysterious figures in ancient texts. The Book of Enoch describes them as beings of enormous stature and immense power, their very existence a violation of natural law. Unlike ordinary humans, the Nephilim were said to be insatiable, devouring everything in their path, including animals, crops, and eventually, people. Their unchecked destruction played a key role in the events leading up to the Great Flood. While most interpretations present the Nephilim as physical giants, some researchers propose alternative explanations. In some translations, the term Nephilim is linked to the Hebrew root NPL, meaning fallen or cast down, suggesting that they were not merely large beings, but something outside the natural order. Some theories propose that they were genetic hybrids, a merging of celestial and earthly biology that resulted in entities both superior and dangerous to ordinary humans. Others speculate that the Nephilim were not biological at all, but rather spiritual beings trapped in corporeal form, or even something closer to an advanced, non-human species mistaken for demigods. Similar stories of hybrid beings exist across multiple cultures. In Mesopotamian mythology, the Apkallu were semi-divine sages who guided humanity, but were later cast into the underworld for their transgressions. In Greek mythology, the Titans were powerful, primordial beings overthrown by the Olympian gods. In the Americas, myths of giants appear in both Native American and Mesoamerican traditions, often associated with destruction and divine punishment. These parallels suggest that the story of the Nephilim may be part of a broader ancient narrative about beings who disrupted the natural order and suffered divine retribution as a result. The destruction wrought by the Nephilim and the corruption introduced by the Watchers could not be left unchecked. The Book of Enoch describes how the cries of humanity reached the heavens, prompting divine intervention. In response, God commanded the archangels to act. Raphael was tasked with imprisoning Azazel. Gabriel was sent to incite a war between the Nephilim to ensure their self-destruction, and Michael was commanded to bind Semjaza and his rebellious host until the final judgment. Finally, God decreed a cataclysmic flood to cleanse the earth of their influence. The Great Flood is one of the most widespread mythological events. It appears in cultures across the world. The Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh describes how the god Enlil, angered by humanity's noise and disobedience, sent a flood to destroy them. Only the righteous Utnapishtim survived. In Mesoamerican mythology, the Maya and Aztecs also tell of a great flood, and according to their myth, this flood wiped out previous human civilizations, resetting the cosmic cycle. In nearly all versions of the story, a select individual is warned in advance. Whether Noah, Utnapishtim, or a culture hero from other traditions, they are instructed to preserve life. This ensures that humanity continues after the devastation. These similarities raise questions about whether these flood narratives stem from a shared historical memory. Some researchers suggest that these stories may be distorted recollections of an actual prehistoric event, such as the sudden rise of sea levels at the end of the last ice age, or regional megafloods caused by shifting climate patterns. Others propose that they encode metaphorical truths about the downfall of civilizations, an allegory for the cyclical rise and fall of human societies. What makes the Book of Enoch unique is its claim that the flood was not merely a punishment for human wickedness, but a targeted act to eliminate an unnatural presence on Earth. The narrative presents the flood as a means of erasing both the Watcher's influence and their hybrid offspring, restoring the natural balance between heaven and earth. And then there is the story of Enoch himself. His story stands apart from other ancient accounts of prophets and patriarchs. Unlike most figures in the Old Testament, Enoch did not experience death. Instead, he was taken by God, vanishing from the earth in a way that has puzzled scholars and theologians for centuries. The Book of Enoch expands on this mystery, describing in vivid detail how he was escorted by powerful beings through the different layers of the heavens. Enoch's journey began with the arrival of radiant figures. These beings, unlike anything seen on Earth, took him from his home and carried him upwards. He ascended beyond the sky, passing through multiple realms, each more astonishing than the last. In the lower heavens, he saw massive storehouses where natural elements like rain, snow, and wind were controlled by celestial guardians. As he moved higher, he witnessed the intricate workings of the universe, including the great cosmic machinery that governed the movement of the sun, moon, and stars. He learned that everything in creation followed a precise order, upheld by forces beyond human comprehension. Deeper into the heavens, Enoch encountered ranks of powerful angelic beings. Some were towering figures with multiple wings, singing in unison as they performed their eternal duties. Others appeared solemn, watching and recording the deeds of humanity. He also saw entities who had rebelled against divine law, now imprisoned in darkness, awaiting judgment. The vision of these fallen beings served as a warning and an indication of the consequences of defying the cosmic order. At the highest level of his journey, Enoch stood before the Ancient of Days. This figure radiated an overwhelming light, so intense that Enoch could not look directly upon it. His presence filled all of existence, a force both terrifying and magnificent. In this moment, Enoch was transformed. His physical form changed and he was no longer mortal. He was now an entity that existed beyond human limitations, able to comprehend the vast mysteries of the universe. Some interpretations suggest that Enoch's experience was not simply a divine ascension, but something more real. His descriptions of being taken from Earth, encountering beings of great power, and witnessing celestial structures sound strikingly similar to modern reports of extraterrestrial abduction. His accounts of flying through different realms, receiving forbidden knowledge, and undergoing a transformation parallel themes found in many contemporary close encounter stories. If Enoch's journey was more than a symbolic vision, it could represent one of the earliest recorded encounters with an advanced intelligence. His transformation may have been caused by exposure to something beyond human understanding, an unknown technology, a powerful energy, or a fundamental change to his very being. And for most people, the removal of the Book of Enoch from most religious traditions only adds to the mystery. Its exclusion may have been an attempt to suppress information that challenges conventional beliefs. Ancient American cultures also have their stories of beings from the sky who brought knowledge, order, and civilization to early societies. Among these, one figure stands out as one of the most enigmatic and influential: the feathered serpent. Known as Kukulkan to the Maya and Quetzalcoatl to the Aztecs, this celestial being was said to have descended from the heavens, imparting wisdom, shaping human destiny, and then mysteriously vanishing, promising to return. This god was not like the others in the Mesoamerican pantheon. Unlike the warlike deities who demanded sacrifice and bloodshed, Quetzalcoatl was a figure of knowledge, peace, and creation. He was associated with the sky, the wind, and the stars, and his presence was not limited to one civilization. He was worshipped by the Olmecs, revered by the Toltecs, and later embraced by the Aztecs and Maya. But who or what was Quetzalcoatl? The earliest depictions of the feathered serpent appear in Olmec art, dating back to around 1400 BC. This culture, considered the mother civilization of Mesoamerica, left behind stone carvings and artifacts depicting a snake-like figure adorned with feathers, a hybrid of two powerful natural forces. The serpent, representing the earth and the underworld, and the bird, symbolizing the sky and celestial realms. This fusion of opposites made Quetzalcoatl a god of balance, transformation, and divine wisdom. As the centuries passed, his legend grew. By the time of the Toltecs from 900 to 1150 AD, Quetzalcoatl was also linked to a historical figure, a ruler named Seacatl Topiltzin Quetzalcoatl. This leader was said to have reigned in Tula, the Toltec capital, bringing with him new knowledge, architecture, and ethical codes that rejected human sacrifice. However, after a great conflict, he was forced to flee. He traveled east, vowing to return one day from across the sea. Some versions of the myth say he set sail on a raft of snakes, disappearing beyond the horizon. Descriptions of Quetzalcoatl portray him as a powerful being associated with the heavens. He was often linked to the planet Venus, the bright celestial body that appears as the morning and evening star. In many cultures, Venus has been tied to deities who descend from the sky, bringing wisdom and guidance before disappearing again. The Aztec codices, written after the Spanish conquest, describe Quetzalcoatl as a pale-skinned and bearded figure, which was uncommon among Mesoamerican peoples. Some researchers suggest this was a later European distortion of the myth. The Mayans, who called him Kukulkan, built grand pyramids in his honor, the most famous being El Castillo at Chichen Itza. This temple is an astronomical masterpiece. During the spring and autumn equinoxes, the setting sun casts shadows on the pyramid steps, creating the illusion of a serpent slithering down from the top, just as Kukulkan was said to descend from the heavens. Quetzalcoatl's departure and his promised return fueled speculation even in the time of the Spanish conquest. Some accounts suggest that Montezuma, the last Aztec emperor, initially mistook Hernan Cortés for the returning god, allowing the Spaniards to enter Tenochtitlan without resistance. This belief may have contributed to the downfall of the Aztec Empire. However, modern historians argue that this was likely a later invention by the Spanish to justify their conquest. But beyond the historical accounts, the broader theme of a sky deity who departs and vows to return is not unique to Mesoamerican mythology. Similar motifs appear across different civilizations. And just as the Sumerian Anunnaki, the Egyptian Neteru, and the Vedic Devas Quetzalcoatl came to Earth, imparted wisdom, and eventually left, promising to one day return. Some researchers suggest that these stories may preserve memories of contact with an advanced intelligence, whether extraterrestrial or interdimensional. The idea that powerful beings arrived from the sky, bringing knowledge and technology, only to vanish again, has intrigued many. Ancient civilizations often aligned their most sacred sites with celestial events. For example, the Mayans' long count calendar, which famously ended a great cycle in 2012, was based on astronomical calculations that suggest an intimate knowledge of cosmic cycles. Also, the city of Teotihuacan, with its pyramid of the feathered serpent, was laid out in alignment with the stars, particularly the movements of Venus. Today, Teotihuacan is one of the greatest enigmas of the ancient world. It is located in central Mexico, just 50 kilometers from modern-day Mexico City. This vast metropolis flourished between 100 BC and 650 AD, yet little is known about the civilization that built it. The city was already abandoned when the Aztecs arrived centuries later, awed by its scale and grandeur. They named it Teotihuacan, meaning the place where gods were born, believing it to be the work of divine beings. What they found was a city covering 21 square kilometers, with a population that once exceeded 100,000 people. This scale was unmatched in the Western Hemisphere until the rise of the great cities of the Inca and the later Aztec Empire. The sheer scale, advanced urban planning, and unexplained origins of Teotihuacan have led some to question whether it was built by a lost civilization with knowledge beyond its time, or even by beings from beyond our world. The layout of Teotihuacan suggests that it was designed with precise astronomical alignments. The city's central thoroughfare, the Avenue of the Dead, stretches for miles, flanked by massive pyramids that align with celestial bodies. The Pyramid of the Sun is the largest structure in the city. It is nearly identical in size to the Great Pyramid of Giza, and its orientation aligns with solar movements. On the opposite end, the Pyramid of the Moon mirrors the surrounding mountain ranges, creating a seamless blend of architecture and landscape. Most intriguingly, the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, dedicated to the deity Quetzalcoatl, is built with a level of precision that continues to puzzle researchers even today. Beneath its foundations, a tunnel was discovered in 2003, sealed for nearly 2,000 years. It contains liquid mercury and golden spheres made of pyrite, which are materials associated with rituals, cosmic symbolism, and, some speculate, even advanced energy manipulation. Archaeological discoveries have deepened the mystery surrounding Teotihuacan rather than resolving it. The recently excavated tunnel beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent revealed a subterranean world filled with elaborate offerings, carved greenstone statues, wooden masks inlaid with jade, and mysterious metallic spheres. The walls of the tunnel were coated with a mineral mixture that gave them a reflective quality, creating an effect reminiscent of a star-filled sky. At the tunnel's deepest point, a chamber was found containing what appeared to be a miniature landscape, complete with pools of liquid mercury, possibly representing lakes or cosmic realms. This discovery has fueled speculation that the site was more than just a religious or political center. It may have been a place of initiation, where ancient rulers or priests underwent transformative rituals, or even a symbolic gateway to the underworld. One of the most perplexing aspects of Teotihuacan is the absence of any clear written records or depictions of its rulers. Unlike the Mayans or the Aztecs, who left behind extensive inscriptions detailing their kings and conquests, Teotihuacan's elite remain a mystery. Some scholars propose that the city was governed by a collective ruling class rather than a singular king. Others suggest that its leaders may have deliberately erased their names to align themselves with divine forces. But this lack of identifiable rulers has also given rise to more speculative theories that Teotihuacan was ruled by a civilization so advanced that their governance structure was beyond what we understand. Further supporting these theories are the city's inexplicable technological advancements. The obsidian tools found at Teotihuacan are among the sharpest cutting instruments known from the ancient world, rivaling even modern surgical blades. The city's extensive plumbing system, with underground drainage channels and reservoirs, demonstrates an understanding of hydrodynamics far beyond what is typically attributed to pre-Columbian societies. Additionally, the use of mica, a mineral with insulating properties, has raised questions about whether Teotihuacan's builders had knowledge of electromagnetic energy. Large sheets of mica have been discovered in the city's structures, particularly in areas that appear to have had ceremonial or ritual significance. Given that mica does not occur naturally in central Mexico and had to be transported from Brazil, some have wondered if its presence suggests that the city's builders understood the properties of energy conduction or radiation shielding. The collapse of Teotihuacan remains as mysterious as its origins. Around 650 AD, the city experienced a dramatic decline, with evidence suggesting a sudden and violent upheaval. The elite compounds along the Avenue of the Dead were burned and destroyed, possibly indicating a rebellion against the ruling class. Some researchers believe that internal conflict led to the city's downfall, while others argue that environmental changes or resource depletion may have played a role. However, an alternative theory suggests that Teotihuacan's collapse may have been the result of a catastrophic event. Some point to evidence of unusually high levels of heat in certain areas, leading to speculation about a fire or even an ancient cataclysm that devastated the once thriving metropolis. Aside from this city, America is also home to remarkable structures found in Peru, etched across the arid plains of the south. The Nazca lines, geoglyphs carved into the desert floor, form a network of massive shapes ranging from geometric patterns to depictions of animals, birds, and even humanoid figures. Some of the most famous include the hummingbird, the spider, and the monkey, each spanning hundreds of feet across. These designs were created by removing the reddish-brown top layer of soil, exposing the lighter ground beneath. For decades, researchers have debated the purpose of these massive figures. Some see them as sacred pathways, while others believe they were astronomical markers, aligning with celestial events. But another theory suggests these designs were not made for human eyes at all. Some researchers propose that the Nazca lines may have been messages to the gods, symbols meant to be seen from above, or even landing sites for beings from beyond Earth. The scale of the geoglyphs raises intriguing questions about their intended audience. From the ground, many of the designs are barely recognizable. Only from the sky do their full shapes and intricate details become clear. This has led to speculation that they were meant for deities or otherworldly visitors who could observe them from the heavens. The Nazca civilization, which flourished between 200 BC and 600 AD, is known to have practiced complex rituals honoring their gods, many of whom were associated with the sky, the mountains, and water. Some theories suggest the lines were part of ceremonies meant to attract divine favor, guiding celestial beings to specific locations. The positioning of the geoglyphs also raises questions. Many of the long straight lines appear to point towards significant natural landmarks, such as mountain peaks and water sources, but others seem to lead nowhere, stretching across the plain without any clear destination. Some researchers believe these lines may have served as ritual pathways, walked by priests or shamans during sacred ceremonies. Others suggest they were part of a vast astronomical calendar, mapping the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. Yet the sheer scale and precision of the designs have led some to propose a far more extraordinary explanation. The theory that the Nazca lines served as landing markers for ancient visitors gained widespread attention in the late 20th century. Swiss author Erich von Däniken, a well-known proponent of the ancient astronaut hypothesis, argued that the lines were designed as runways for spacecraft. He pointed to the geometric shapes, which resemble modern airstrips, and suggested that the figures could have been navigational aids for extraterrestrial beings. According to this theory, the Nazca civilization may have had contact with advanced visitors who provided knowledge or guidance, leaving behind these enormous symbols as a means of communication. Critics of the ancient astronaut hypothesis argue that the lines could have been created using simple tools and surveying techniques available to the Nazca people. Wooden stakes have been found at the ends of some lines, suggesting a methodical process of construction. Experimental archaeology has shown that a small team of people, using basic equipment, could recreate similar geoglyphs within days. However, while the method of construction may be understood, the purpose behind these colossal designs remains uncertain. Further complicating the mystery is the presence of geoglyphs that predate the Nazca civilization. Some of the oldest figures attributed to the Paracas culture depict humanoid shapes with exaggerated heads and large staring eyes. One such figure, known as the Owl Man or astronaut, appears to raise one arm as if in greeting. The unusual features of these ancient images have fueled speculation that they represent beings not of this world, possibly encounters recorded by early cultures in the only way they could understand. In 2020, archaeologists uncovered additional geoglyphs using drone technology, revealing previously unknown designs. These newly found figures, including felines, birds, and humanoid shapes, suggest that the tradition of creating massive desert drawings was even more widespread than previously thought. Some researchers believe that the sheer number of these figures, combined with their alignment with celestial patterns, supports the idea that they were meant to be seen from above, perhaps by beings capable of flight. Some researchers draw parallels between the Nazca lines and other ancient sites believed to have connections to the stars. The Great Pyramids of Egypt, the stone circles of Britain, and the monolithic statues of Easter Island all share an unexplained precision in their construction and an apparent alignment with celestial bodies. Could it be that ancient cultures across the world were attempting to communicate with something or someone far beyond Earth? Unfortunately, scientists still have no definitive answers to many questions about the Nazca lines. Some researchers believe it may take a long time before it is determined whether these geoglyphs were created for religious rituals, astronomical purposes, or as pathways for ceremonial processions. Even the Maya had their own version of creation. Their sacred book, the Popol Vuh, details a fascinating account of divine beings attempting to craft intelligent life through a series of unsuccessful experiments. According to this book, before humanity as we know it existed, the creator gods sought to form beings who could praise them and sustain the world. Their first attempt was crude. They shaped humans out of mud. These figures, however, were weak, fragile, and unable to stand properly. Their bodies were soft, they could not hold themselves together, and they had no understanding of the world. Dissatisfied, the gods wiped them away and tried again. The second attempt was more promising. This time, they crafted humans from wood. These beings were stronger and able to walk and talk, but something was missing. They had no souls, no emotions, and no connection to their creators. They could not truly understand the divine or appreciate the world they had been given. To the gods, they were little more than hollow imitations of life. Because of this, they were destroyed as well. The Popol Vuh describes a great flood that washed away these wooden people, while those who survived were cursed to become monkeys. This was the first of evolutionary ideas, long before modern science explored them. It was only in their third attempt that the gods succeeded. This time, they used maize, the sacred food of the Maya. From maize dough, they shaped 4 humans, and these beings were different. They were strong, intelligent, and grateful to their creators. In Mayan belief, maize was not just food, it was life itself. The idea that humans were created from maize suggests a deep understanding of the link between agriculture, survival, and spirituality. Once the gods finally succeeded in creating intelligent humans, they realized they had made a mistake. The new humans were too powerful. Their vision was limitless, and their knowledge was vast. They could see everything, understand everything, and had no weaknesses. In the eyes of the gods, they had created beings too much like themselves, too close to divine perfection. To prevent humanity from rivaling them, the gods intervened. They clouded human sight, limiting their ability to perceive the full truth of the universe. They placed restrictions on their knowledge, ensuring that humans would never fully understand their origins or their purpose. According to the Popol Vuh, the gods deliberately reduced the capabilities of their own creation, ensuring that people would remain dependent on them. Beyond the creation of humanity, the Popol Vuh also describes a great cosmic battle between opposing forces. At the center of this conflict are the hero twins, Hunahpu and Ixbalanque, who descend into the underworld, known as Xibalba, to challenge the Dark Lords who rule over death and suffering. The Lords of Xibalba are powerful and deceptive, tricking their enemies and setting impossible challenges. The twins, however, use intelligence and resilience to outmaneuver them. After facing a series of deadly trials, including razor-sharp blades, crushing darkness, and a house filled with deadly bats, they eventually defeat the Lords and transform into celestial beings. This story has been interpreted in many ways. On one level, it is a classic battle of good versus evil. On another, it represents the cycle of death and rebirth, mirroring the movement of celestial bodies. But some have seen it as something else, a struggle between advanced beings, where one group seeks to free humanity, while another tries to control it. Throughout history, many myths describe battles between powerful entities, gods, titans, angels, and demons. But some people truly believe that these stories are not just metaphors, but recollections of actual conflicts. According to them, the Lords of Xibalba represent oppressive rulers, perhaps even non-human ones, who sought to dominate the early Maya. The hero twins, in this view, could be champions of an advanced group that sought to liberate humanity. Whether myth or history, the story of the hero twins suggests that the ancient Maya believed in forces beyond human comprehension. They saw the universe as a place of struggle, where knowledge, power, and destiny were constantly at stake. The Popol Vuh is also a book filled with astronomical wisdom. The Mayans were extraordinary astronomers, able to track the movements of planets and stars with remarkable accuracy. But where did this knowledge come from? Some researchers argue that the Mayans' astronomical precision was far ahead of its time. They mapped Venus with extreme accuracy, understood the cycles of the moon, and developed a complex mathematical system without the tools of modern science. Mainstream historians attribute this to careful observation and generations of refinement. However, alternative theories suggest another possibility. In many ancient texts, from the Sumerian Enuma Elish to the biblical Book of Enoch, knowledge is said to have been given to humanity by beings from the heavens. Some believe that the Mayas' understanding of the cosmos was not entirely their own, but inherited from an older, possibly extraterrestrial source. While conventional archaeology attributes the Mayas' advanced knowledge of astronomy to careful observation and mathematical precision, The depth of their understanding remains remarkable for an era long before modern scientific tools. According to the tradition of the Hopi people of North America, they have a deep connection to what they call the Star People, advanced beings who descended from the heavens in ancient times. These beings, described as luminous and wise, were said to have guided the Hopi and shared knowledge with their ancestors. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Hopi tradition is the concept of the Star Children. These were believed to be hybrid beings, part human, part celestial, who were born when the Star People intermingled with humans. According to oral traditions, these hybrids possessed extraordinary abilities, including heightened intuition, an innate understanding of cosmic laws, and a natural affinity for spiritual wisdom. The Hopi suggest that these beings were sent to Earth for a purpose: to teach, guide, and help humanity maintain harmony with the universe. The Star People were also associated with the flying shields, mysterious aerial vehicles that were said to transport them between the stars and Earth. The Hopi described these shields as radiant, moving through the sky with ease, emitting no sound. Such descriptions bear striking similarities to modern-day reports of unidentified flying objects. While skeptics argue that these stories are purely symbolic, others believe they may represent encounters with advanced beings from beyond our world. Thousands of miles away from them, in West Africa, the Dogon people of Mali hold similar knowledge. Their legends speak of visitors from the sky, beings they call the Nomos, who came to Earth from a world orbiting Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky. The Dogon claim that these beings arrived in a vessel that descended from the heavens, accompanied by fire and thunder. What makes the Dogon tradition particularly fascinating is their advanced understanding of the Sirius star system, knowledge they supposedly possessed long before modern science could confirm it. The Dogon have long known that Sirius is not a single star, but part of a binary system. They describe Sirius B, a small, dense companion star that is invisible to the naked eye. Even more astonishingly, they accurately stated that Sirius B orbits Sirius A in a 50-year cycle, which is something that Western astronomers only confirmed in the 19th century with the aid of telescopes. The Dogon also describes Sirius B as a heavy star, which aligns with modern scientific findings. White dwarf stars like Sirius B are among the densest objects in the universe. Some researchers suggest that this knowledge was passed down from ancient contact with advanced civilizations, either from early astronomers or from extraterrestrial visitors. The Dogon attribute their wisdom directly to the Nomos, whom they describe as semi-amphibious, fish-like beings who brought knowledge of the stars, agriculture, and medicine to their people. In Dogon cosmology, these beings were not just visitors, they were teachers who guided humanity through its early development. While some scholars argue that European explorers could have introduced this knowledge to the Dogon in more recent times, others point out that the Dogon's Sirius-based mythology appears deeply rooted in their oral traditions, long predating contact with Western scientists. If the Nomos were truly visitors from beyond our world, then maybe the Dogon legends might be one of the most compelling pieces of evidence supporting ancient encounters with celestial beings. On the other side of the world, in the remote Kimberley region of Australia, there are the ancient rock paintings of the Wandjina. The Wandjina are cloud and rain spirits central to the mythology of the Warora, Wunumbal, and Garinian peoples. These spirits, believed to have shaped the land and given laws to the people, are depicted in Aboriginal rock art dating back at least 4,000 years. The Wandjina figures are striking. They are large, with broad heads, no mouths, and deep, all-seeing eyes. Around their heads are halo-like patterns, often interpreted as radiating energy or light. To some observers, these images resemble descriptions of extraterrestrial beings. Unlike other Aboriginal rock art, which often depicts animals and human figures with naturalistic detail, the Wandjina have an otherworldly quality, almost as if they were meant to be seen as something beyond human. According to Aboriginal lore, the Wandjina came from the sky, descending to earth to bring knowledge and order. They were responsible for creating the rivers, the mountains, and even the people themselves. After completing their work, they did not die, but instead entered sacred waterholes, where their presence remains. It is said that the Wandjina continue to watch over the land, controlling the weather and ensuring balance in nature. Early European explorers were struck by the Wandjina depictions, believing them to be representations of lost civilizations or even foreign travelers from across the sea. In the 20th century, some theorists went even further, proposing that the Wandjina were depictions of extraterrestrial visitors who once walked among the ancient Aboriginal people. The distinctive, featureless faces and radiant auras have led some to speculate that these paintings are records of contact with non-human intelligences. However, to the Aboriginal custodians of the land, the Wandjina are not aliens or outsiders, but powerful ancestral spirits. Their presence in rock art is not meant to depict physical beings from another world, but rather spiritual entities that are deeply embedded in the natural order. Nonetheless, the resemblance between the Wandjina figures and modern conceptions of extraterrestrial visitors remains a subject of fascination. Even today, Hopi elders speak of the return of the Star People. They speak of a time when a blue star Kachina will appear in the sky. This celestial event is said to mark the end of the current world and the beginning of a new one. The Hopi believe that when this sign appears, the return of powerful beings will soon follow, beings who guided humanity in the past and will once again shape the fate of the earth. According to the prophecy, there are 9 signs leading up to the final transformation of the world. The last of these signs describes a dwelling place in the heavens that will fall to earth with a great crash. Some interpretations link this to the possibility of a future space event, such as a supernova, comet, or an artificial object like a space station. The prophecy also speaks of a time when the Hopi people will retreat to underground sanctuaries, surviving the cataclysm that will reshape the world. Afterward, a true white brother will come to judge humanity. If he finds that the Hopi and those who follow the ancient ways have remained pure, they will be allowed to enter the next world. Otherwise, the earth will be destroyed and the cycle will begin again. The similarities between the Hopi prophecy and other end-time narratives are striking. Many religions, from Christianity to Hinduism, describe a final judgment and a cosmic renewal. The idea that celestial beings will return to oversee this transformation is a common theme, leading some to wonder whether these myths and prophecies all point to the same event. In recent years, the number of UFO sightings has risen dramatically. Reports of unidentified aerial phenomena have become so frequent that even governments have been forced to acknowledge them. The US Pentagon has declassified videos showing unidentified objects moving in ways that defy known physics. Military pilots have described encounters with crafts capable of instantaneous acceleration, sharp turns, and speeds beyond anything known to human technology. One of the most well-documented UFO encounters occurred in 2004 when US Navy fighter pilots observed and recorded a mysterious, elongated, smooth white object off the coast of California, later dubbed the Tic Tac. The object exhibited flight characteristics that defied the laws of aerodynamics, accelerating and changing altitude at extreme speeds without any visible means of propulsion. The incident was captured on infrared cameras and tracked by radar systems aboard the USS Princeton. Although the footage was confirmed as authentic by the US Navy in 2019, no official explanation has been provided to this day. Beyond military encounters, the general public continues to report sightings of strange lights, structured crafts, and encounters with beings of unknown origin. In the United States alone, thousands of UFO reports are filed each year, ranging from brief sightings to claims of abduction. While many can be explained as natural phenomena or misidentified aircraft, a significant portion remains unexplained. For those who believe in ancient astronaut theories, these modern sightings are a part of a larger pattern. If extraterrestrials or ancient gods have been monitoring humanity for centuries, they may be gradually preparing us for their return. Some researchers suggest that recent government disclosures are a way of easing the public into accepting the idea of non-human intelligence. The argument follows that if advanced beings have been visiting Earth for thousands of years, then the myths and legends of the past may not be myths at all. Instead, they could be fragmented memories of real events, times when these beings openly interacted with humanity before withdrawing. Now, as we advance technologically and become more aware of the cosmos, some believe that the time for open contact is approaching once again. The scale of the universe itself adds another dimension to this debate. Modern astronomy has revealed that there are hundreds of billions of galaxies, each containing billions of stars and countless planets. Scientists have already identified thousands of exoplanets, some of which exist in the habitable zones of their respective star systems. Even within our own solar system, discoveries have reshaped our understanding of where life might exist. Water in some form has been found on the Moon, as well as on Mars, Europa, and Enceladus, moons of Jupiter and Saturn. These findings reinforce the idea that conditions for life are not unique to Earth. Given the vastness of the cosmos, many experts argue that it is statistically improbable that Earth is the only planet hosting intelligent life. Whether these civilizations resemble humans or have evolved in entirely different ways remains unknown. If extraterrestrial beings have visited in the past, they may have been remembered by early civilizations as gods, leaving behind symbols, myths, and knowledge that still intrigue researchers today. While ongoing discoveries continue to reshape our understanding of humanity's past, the question of ancient visitors and their potential influence remains a mystery. Without definitive evidence, the true nature of these encounters, whether divine, extraterrestrial, or purely mythological, remains open to interpretation. Yet across cultures and civilizations, echoes of the same stories persist. Tales of gods descending from the heavens, of cosmic knowledge passed down, and of a future where they may return once more. Whether these are distant memories or glimpses of something greater, the answers may not lie beneath the earth, but above us, written in the stars, waiting to be understood. If you enjoyed this documentary, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Keep your minds open, and until we meet again,